Ahoy there, mateys! Welcome aboard the Riff, Raff podcast. We are the pirates of the spicy waters. Come along with us and hoist the sail. We're navigating life through story and tale. We'll help you embrace the way you're wired, sharing laughs and lessons to get you inspired. If you join us, we will help you see there are a lot of ways to sail the neurospicy sea.
No.
What's happening?
Man. So folks, welcome to Across the Desk and the Riff Raff podcast. Ironically, just yesterday, Sydney and I met and chatted and went, "Hey friend, what are we talking about tomorrow?" Because we usually have it more in advance. And Sydney had the amazing idea of
Chaos gremlin and discipline.
yeah. Okay. So
Mostly chaos gremlin with a smattering of discipline.
a smackerel of discipline.
Smattering.
Well, if you're like a Winnie the Pooh fan, it's a smackerel. Smackerel of honey. So it's now 9:11. I was 2 minutes late to the party. I'm playing on the injured list, so I'm a little bit wackadoo to begin with. Then the batteries on my keyboard died. Couldn't get connected. Sydney had the wrong link, and then Sydney's earphones disconnected from her computer.
It's a Thursday.
Chaos is real, friend. Chaos is real. What do I have? I have so I am partially deaf in my right ear. And so I have to use what are they called? They're bone conduction things. But on my case, I have, as all funky people do, I have stickers on my case. And one of them says, "Happy looks good on you." The other one says, "This shit is bananas." And the other one says, "All oopsies and no fucking daisies."
So which sticker are you today?
I'm the one on the back. What does it say, Sydney?
I'm a ray of fucking sunshine. That's what it says.
Every freaking day I'm a sunshine. So Sydney, how's your week been? Because this is going to play into our whole chaos goblin.
Yes. It's been chaos goblin adjacent. No. I think it's gone pretty well, but I think it's also been an interesting week. And
So interesting is code for
I just started a new opportunity.
Yeah.
And working with someone new, and so
Brings a whole other.
It brings a new dynamic to the table.
Keeping in mind this is live right now, so we're going to be careful. But that's so true. There's so many things that can cause chaos. So I'm old enough to remember a cartoon, and the main character was Captain Caveman. And he looked a little bit like Cousin It from the Addams Family and whatever, but he was a caveman, and he would come in with this big club and Captain, and then like he would like beat the crap out of. And all this morning, all I kept thinking was, Captain, lost. Because that's how it can come in sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just like a big freaking club over the head. So for context, folks, one of the reasons we're talking about this is Sydney and I are both ADHD. Do we want to do introductions? Do we feel like we've covered that previously, or?
I feel like we have, but it doesn't hurt to do it again.
Do it. Hit it.
Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Sydney Elaine Butler. I have ADHD, like Elizabeth pointed out. I'm also autistic, and I have some other diagnoses behind my name. And I also have a business called Accessible Creates, and just trying to make the world and the workplaces more inclusive and accessible to people with disabilities and that are also neurodivergent, and just make a more accessible world for all of us.
That was a good one. It's interesting. Like the more we do introductions, it it fluctuates podcast to podcast. And I think the more we say it out loud, especially if you're a verbal processor or an auditory processor, the more it clears the chaos and the message becomes clear. So my name is Elizabeth Plouffe. I'm the founder of Spiro Canada and the founder of what was Socially ASD, but is now Nimble ND. Both my for-profit and my not-for-profit focus specifically on the neurodivergent community. Come by it honestly. My son is autistic, dyslexic, and ADHD. My husband's dyslexic, and my daughter's ADHD. So, no,
It's
we're
a lot of chaos in that house, maybe.
chaos adjacent. Chaos adjacent. Um, Sydney said something the other day, and it was so true. And you talked about how the autism side wants routine and structure and
Yes.
rules, and like that's the comfort zone. And then the ADHD gremlin shows up and goes, screw all of that. We're just
Yep.
gonna bam the shit out of it, and
And
we
it's
need
happening. It's happening live, folks. It's happening live.
right now.
It's. I'm experiencing that right now. Yes.
It's such a weird push and pull.
It's.
I have it
It's
too. I'm
the
not
most.
autistic, but I have it
Yeah.
too.
I feel like it's just more intense if you're autistic. But I feel like yeah, it's like Brain. Can we just be on the same page?
Side, side
Pick a lane, Brain.
needs a t-shirt. We got to put that in there. We have a t-shirt check, folks, for our team.
For
When
context.
Maddie's with us and Paul's with us, there's normally more pirates. Traditionally throughout the podcast, somebody says something brilliant. That's t-shirt worthy because it absolutely encapsulates the chaos that can happen. I thought about it this morning and I wanted to put this to you at the beginning,
Okay.
time to process over the course of the conversation and then see what wisdom percolates out of your mouth later. Did you find moving out of the school system, which is very structured, which
Mm-hmm.
also creates push and pull, because half of me liked the rules and half of me was like, take your rules and shove them up your keister. Come out of post-secondary, less rules, but still structure. So,
Yeah.
both sides of the brain were kind of going, all right, like my executive function doesn't get
I
fully
I
taxed.
feel like I feel like I can make a kind of answer because like I feel like post secondary in that whole chapter of my life there was a lot going on in my personal life at that time, but the parameters of which like post secondary I was volunteering with Girl Guides of Canada, I was working almost full-time hours. Um but I created a structure for myself. And so even though there's things going on in my personal life that were chaotic, those structures I created for myself was when I felt like I could thrive in those environments.
Your phone is doing bad things, by the way.
Yeah, I was like, I thought it's gonna sound off of me.
Yeah, no. Just FYI. That little ta-da you're hearing is absolutely
Yeah.
appropriate, but
Chaos.
so what I was wondering about was so I've been an employee. I'm of a certain vintage that I have about 30 years being an employee,
Hmm.
probably more. I started working when I was, not to sound like a grandparent, but I started working when I was 12, like babysitting kind of thing.
Back in my day.
Like a mother, you had to roll your own cigarettes. No, I don't smoke. You have to go out in the back 40 and shoot your dinner. Never shot a gun in my life. So started working at 12. It's babysitting, right? Like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And then moved into employment roles. And it was again that push and pull of the chaos. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you have to do because these are our rules. And then here's my ADHD going, but do I? I feel like that's a suggestion. And I feel like there's better ways to do what you're asking me to do. but there was still structure. So it wasn't an executive function issue. It was just there's a part of my brain that instantly rebels when somebody tells me I have to do it their way and doesn't give me a good reason. And I
I think we
recognize,
talked about that. I think we talked about that briefly in another podcast.
yeah, but as an employee,
Hmm.
not a great characteristic to have in your personality because as now an employer and a CEO, I'm not a fan of when people disregard what I have asked them to do and kind of put their own spicy twist on things. I'd be like, there's a reason I
You know,
asked you to do it
wait
that
a
way.
minute.
Oh, full circle. So the other day I thought, I wonder, has Sydney experienced this? Has Paul experienced this? Has Maddie experienced this? Where we moved from, all of us are entrepreneurs, by the way. All of us have moved out of employee roles and some have 30, 40 years. Some are newer to being an employee. Doesn't matter. You've got the experience. Did the rails fall off a bit when we went from other people's rules and expectations and the lack of taxing that had on our executive function to having to be able to put that whole enchilada together?
I feel like when like, I think there's so much to do also as running a business that you're just like, whoa, what do I do first? Even like in any given day. And I rely on calendars and to-do lists. I even put it in my planner. Like I have it in my whiteboard. You can see right there. Um, and I have to take all those steps. Otherwise, I feel like something could fall off potentially. And I think it is, I think it's, you want to do so much as well. Or you want to get to what I've seen a lot is you want to get to the good part. You want to get to the juicy part. You want to get to be actually doing the work that you made the business for. Right. But then it's like behind the scenes work, the marketing, all the different nitty gritty work. It's just like, wait,
Wait,
my cat
that's
and
not
mouse do
fun.
that.
Yes. Jason, my CTO, calls that death by a thousand paper cuts. And
Mm,
it's so true. And if you're ADHD, come along on the journey with us for a moment because there's two ways to look at the world. Just breaking it down to really basic.
yeah.
One is interesting. One is important. You have a task in
Yes.
front of you and your brain decides whether it's interesting or important. My brain does not enjoy the important. My brain goes accounting, who, reporting, who, like all of that fine detail. I'm really good at big picture thinking. I'm really good at making the plan. Sydney shared earlier, Girl Guides of Canada. Also, I'm wearing blue today, actually. Um, was a Girl Guide, was a Girl Guide leader, worked for Girl Guides of Canada for 4.5 years. So you'd think my brain would enjoy that. What does your brain do, Sydney, when you have to sit down and make the decision around interesting and important? Like, how does the chaos
It
goblin?
it really depends on the day because sometimes it's just like sometimes I was talking about this with my friend actually. It's like I have to like negotiate with my brain. It's like if you do this, you can do and just that seems to calm the chaos gremlin for like 5 seconds. No, it's a bit longer than that. But like sometimes it feels like it's only 5 seconds. It's like I can only appease you for 5 seconds. It's just like we made a decision to like so let's stick
We,
to the guns.
I love how it's a we decision.
Well, sometimes you have to talk to yourself as we because if it's just me, you're just like I feel it. But for me, it's like sometimes it's like again because I think that dichotomy of the autism and the ADHD. It's just like it's just like let's come together now. Let's
Yeah, it
um
feels like two different people sometimes.
it really does, and so it's really figuring out. It's like well. and I think sometimes also thinking big picture, and it's like, okay, what does this look like in the bigger picture? What if I do this now? What is that going to help me with in the future? And reframing it like that also seems to help my brain, because it's like sometimes I get too stuck on the details in the
Sorry,
reverse
I have an injured back,
that
so
I'm
I just
just
have
like,
to.
no problem,
Yeah.
do your thing. Um, Sometimes I focus too much on the details. I get stuck on the details. So I'm like,
Yes.
what does it actually look like big picture? Like, okay, why do I have to send this email? Why do I have to create this in place? Why do I have why am I marketing? Why am I reaching out to these people? Versus it's sometimes it's just if you get stuck in the little details of the day every day, it can be like, you feel like, even though it's again my own business, it can start feeling like someone's forcing me to do it, even though I'm
Well, it
like minding my
becomes
own
busy
business.
work. It becomes
Yeah.
busy work versus productive work. Sorry, I'm getting because you always say smart things. We're so lucky on this podcast that we've got such diverse brains that are on it. And then I hear something, I'm like, I gotta write that down. Because otherwise my brain will forget, which it just did because I had a point to ask you. And then now I got distracted by getting my book out every day, man, every day. So so self-talk, right? So one of the
Yes.
things that I try and use, so Sydney had mentioned of course, my pen's not working. Their whiteboards
Chaos.
every freaking day, man. They had mentioned their whiteboards and then the way they organize information. For some folks with ADHD, and this applies to me, and I didn't discover this until, I don't know, 15 years ago, before I knew I had ADHD. If something is not right in front of me as a reminder, I will forget
Yeah.
all about it. And
Hmm.
it's not, and it goes with people as well. No offense, all the people in my life that I love. Um, but if I don't see you for a while, I can forget. Not about you, but to like get in touch or how long it's been or whatever. Um, so I have whiteboards. I'm currently sitting in my outdoor gazebo. If anybody's watching on YouTube, this is part of my backyard. Um, but in my office area downstairs, I have a whiteboard that has all of my projects and ideas laid out systematically. I have another whiteboard right beside my desk that I jot quick notes that I can't forget. Um, and then I also have a rocket book. The challenge for me is if I put those thoughts in too many different places, I start to tune them all out.
Mm.
I can walk downstairs and I have this very organized board. If I don't remind myself to look at the board, I don't actually see the board when I walk downstairs. So what I'm focused on is getting onto my computer and starting a particular task or whatever. Um, so do you find using that combo, what I was thinking is that act of writing it out repeatedly or typing it out repeatedly a way for you to sort of hardwire it?
I think it's a way for me to hardwire it, but then I also use a digital to-do list, which also includes looking at those other things on the
Like
to-do list.
so like a
To your point,
reminder to
Elizabeth, like on my to-do list,
look at your
it's
to-do list.
it's no, it's just like to make my to-do list for the next week.
Oh no, I'm laughing with you, not at
Yeah,
you, because I have done that. I'd be like, check task list
make
on my
I was
to-do
like,
list.
like I literally even have look at to-do lists. I like, it's like look at just to see if there's anything I was missing or I need to add. And that I recently added that, like I want to say like 8 months ago, the look at to-do list,
Yeah, I'm listening.
because things can change so quick, like in life in general. But I think as a business owner, things come up so quickly or things change, and so being able to, and also just being a human, like I have to have chores to do. I have to take care of my dog. I have to take care of myself, right? So that's
My
why
son
I
just,
have
sorry,
so
sorry, fiddling at the same time. That's why you have those tools in place. Keep going.
yeah, and so I think you have to really sit down with yourself or have hard conversations with yourself as you to figure out it's like what's working, what's not working, And, it, and to your point again about the important versus interesting, and kind of looking at that again in the bigger picture, it's like you have to do the important work to do the interesting work, right? And so really having these real conversations with yourself, or getting help if you need help from external resources, because it's hard. It's
What's
and
what's the cost
I
of
also
that?
saw this. I saw this thing recently before I talk about the cost. I saw this thing recently that I think I'm gonna start implementing. Because I think the ADHD has been taking over a little bit too much that I would like to. And so it was like there's like a digital tool, and it's like putting in your tasks that you have to do for that day, besides like meetings, because meetings are set in stone because it's with another person or with other people. But putting the tasks in this like spinning wheel, and then it chooses the task you do next.
Ooh,
And I was just like,
you're
I'm gonna
gamifying
start
it.
doing that actually today. I'm actually gonna start doing that today because the ADHD has been kicking my butt this week. I'm not gonna lie to you all. It's been so I'm gonna try that today, and I'll report back because it's like, oh, that's intriguing.
So
Like you said,
gamifying it.
gamifying it.
So you're giving yourself constraints because you've put the tasks in that you need to do, but
Hmm.
then you're allowing the ADHD part to have some fun
Yes.
by, so part of it, folks, if you're not ADHD familiar, ADHD brains chew through dopamine, which is the nice, calming, happy chemical in our bodies at a incredibly high rate. So don't know why. I mean, I could tell you all the science about it, but we don't want you to fall asleep. So ADHD brains are constantly searching for ways to get little dopamine hits.
someone someone just canceled a movie. It's like, oh no, that's horrible. I can't do a meeting now. Oh no.
You liar. For context, I was in hospital last week. I had a situation happen, and I'm not good at sitting still on a good day. Sitting still while injured. I had to go into Tech
Yeah.
Place yesterday to run our D&D group. Um, and everybody's like, well, you should just take it easy. You should just, I'm like, you should just grow taller. You grow taller, and then I'll learn how to. I mean, I have been this way my entire existence. I never recognized it for what it was. When you're a business owner or so that was my part of my question was if anybody out there is transitioning from employee to entrepreneur, there is a really high statistic, which I don't have it right now, but if Maddie were here, they'd already be looking it up. So Sydney's going to look it up. There's a really high statistic of neurodivergence amongst entrepreneurs and ADHD in particular because of the way the brain functions, because of the novelty aspect, because of the idea creation, and because of the energy output, right? Like my energy isn't, I mean, it's kinetic right now because there's some mosquitoes out. So if you see me slapping stuff, it's not that I'm twitchy, it's that I'm getting bit by mosquitoes. Um, but there's a really high mental energy level that you can't control.
I
Tell me.
just found it. One study found that individuals with ADHD were approximately 60 to 80% more likely to have entrepreneurial intentions.
Well, intentions is different from because I have had intentions
I know,
before.
but it's just like
Yeah. But part of that, I
and then
wonder, keep going. Sorry.
7% of Canadian entrepreneurs received a professional ADHD diagnosis.
70?
7,
7. Oh,
but it's
so
still like,
it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. But I love that differentiation that you said about intention because I think one of the reasons it would be interesting to track, there's a statistic out there that there's a very high percentage of businesses that will close their doors, sorry, um, within 5 years. And I would be curious how many of those businesses that close have an ADHD founder because that ability to hold the long game and do those tasks that are required for long-term momentum can be the bane of our existence.
Yeah.
Unless you are, it took me a long time in life to find what I want to do for the rest of my life. So if you happen to be on the younger end of the age spectrum and you're worried about making a decision for a career for the rest of your life, let that go, because it's not going to be the career for the rest of your life. It's unlikely, highly unlikely. This is my, let me put this together now. So I started out in travel and tourism. That was my first
Okay, one. That's one.
college situation. Before that was years and years of restaurant and retail and being what used to be called a waitress, which is now called a server. Um, I went into travel and tourism to be a flight attendant. After they were showing us how to cuff people with zip ties, I was like, no, thank you. Not doing that.
I'm good.
I'm out, Then I did, one of my other jobs was event security with my now husband. So I spent 4 years doing event security where I had to take people and zip tie them, and kind of an ironic.
Isn't it
Oh,
ironic?
it's such a good song, don't you think? Um, then I kind of got more strategic about the job search and what I wanted to do. I've always wanted to be in medicine. So my second go at college was medical office administration. But I actually did that job. I took the 2 year full time program, did that job for 10 years, and then taught the program for 2 years. So 14 years in total working in medicine in some capacity was the longest career stretch I've ever had. Um, then went from medicine to Girl Guides of Canada. So that was volunteer management for 4.5 years, volunteer and unit leader management and volunteer support. Then went back to college for the third time and got my postgraduate in corporate communications and event planning. Did that as an employee for a year and a half, and then moved into entrepreneurship. On top of all of that, I had a gardening business. I had a cake decorating business. I had a photography business.
Can't say you've been bored.
You know, um, and then accidentally started a technology company.
Accidentally.
Accidentally started a technology
Just for
company.
funsies. Just
You know, I had an idea. And now still a technology business, but also founded a not-for-profit focused on social and employment skill development, and expanded the technology business to include coaching, consulting, and supporting research. Because, it's what you do. I worry, though, that folks get shamed for
mm,
being what I would consider multi-talented. Um, let's be clear. If you're hopping from job to job to job and only lasting 3 months and think, that's not what I'm endorsing. All of my careers and jobs have lasted anywhere. Well, to be fair, I did walk out on one job, but they were asking me to lie to people. So that was not going to be a thing. Um, all of my jobs have lasted a year, 2 years, 4 years, and it's been a strategic move to something else. If you are hopping every 3 months to a different job and it's not your choice, that's a whole different chaos goblin. And
mm.
we need to get real about that. So, Sydney, what would you say? You're looking at somebody, we're supporting them for employment. We know there's some letters after their name. They're job hopping, not always by their choice.
I think what I'm seeing a lot of right now is a lot of people, especially neurodivergent folks, they just want in the door, right? And that's completely valid because it's expensive out there. Want that experience, want that job. But I'm really trying to help people. I'm like, again, sometimes it's not their choice to job hop, like you said, Elizabeth. But how are we setting you up for the best success in this job and for you to stay for a longer haul, And actually, because we know not just an issue of unemployment, but underemployment. And I think that's where a lot of it stems from, right? And so I'm like, how can, again, the tools to advocate for yourself, the tools to, and all these different things to really show up for yourself and show up the best way you can each day. And I, your best looks different every day. And I saw this quote, and I think I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. The days you only have 40%, that's you giving 100% that day, right? And so, really looking at how are you recognizing, and how are you actually applying for jobs that could, that you want to work for, that companies you believe in and their mission and their values. That it's cliche and it's been said to death, but I think it's also,
It's
it's so
true.
true, because if you don't, and it's like, no, I just, like, I know so many people that just blindly apply to jobs, or just apply to jobs, and it's just like, but why do you want to work there? Oh, I just need a job, I just need money. And it's like that
And
we talked about with our participants in employment work, that's not a good strategy. Because, and so it's like really sitting, again, knowing your strengths, knowing, even knowing what skills you want to learn in this job. It's like knowing the strengths you're going to bring to the team, but also it's like, oh, what could I actually take away from this job? Because each job's going to teach you something, right? So it's like, what skills are you, if you do get this job, what skills are you looking forward to building or honing or even building on in this job to really aid you for long-term success, even. And I don't think enough people think about that.
I also wonder, though, at what point do we encourage self-reflection versus deflecting responsibility? And what I mean by that is, if you have been let go from job after job after job, it's not them. So part of it could be, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not a shaming thing, but the reality
Yeah.
is it's not them. Part of it could be, like Sydney says, we really double down on job search strategy. And what we mean by that is, if you know that the Chaos Goblin comes to play, and you know you need to process information in a certain way, and you know that if you get bored, you might get a little antsy or distracted. My son ran into this, where his what did he had at one job, I don't know, he was working at
Mm-hmm.
like a recycling place, and a kitten walked onto the property. Well, that was it for him, because
Mm-hmm.
anything that's in danger or under threat or needs to be rescued, like, his personality type is, I must save you, versus I have a job to do. And I'm not endorsing, letting the kitten die, but to what Sydney said at the beginning, how much time do you spend on that? For a long time, I got in trouble for a variety of things. And at first, I was like, it's you. You don't you don't understand. Biggest lie. And then I started realizing, you ever watched, I guess segue for a quick second, but it ties together. Have you ever watched Jimmy Carr?
Yes.
Okay. He's an English comedian. Now, he's infamous for a certain type of humor that I don't particularly enjoy, but he also has this segment of his shows where people send in texts or tweets or something, and he reads them out, and then he life skills answers them, right? He's incredibly intelligent. That's what I'm learning behind the penis jokes. He's actually remarkably smart. And this person writes in and says, what do I do when everybody else is annoying and everybody else isn't doing things right? And it was everybody else was the problem. And so he dug in a little bit with this person, and they were giving examples that they felt completely justified that everybody else was the problem. And he said, you know what? There's a school of thought that if you've met three assholes before lunch, you're the asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went, oh my God. It's so true. So in a similar vein, if you are receiving consistent feedback that the Chaos Goblin is winning, and you're
Mm-hmm.
distracted and you're not delivering, and you're not following instructions and all that kind of stuff. If it happens once, it definitely could be the job. It could be that they don't have the right communication strategies in place. It could be their managers aren't trained. 100% possible. If you get to job 2, and most of that is being repeated, there's still a chance that it could be place. And then we have to look at your job search strategy and where are you applying, and are you applying to jobs that are asking you to be faster than you're capable of at the time, or have a short onboarding. Like, there's multiple things that could be in play. But friends, if you get to job 3 and that list is still pretty intact in the feedback situation, the chaos goblin is making you their girlfriend or boyfriend. And I was going to use another word, but I don't like that word.
I was gonna say it's like Venom in Spider-Man.
Yes! Oh, I love you so much right now. I have a superhero thing. So if anybody brings up Marvel, I'm like, totally. If Venom's winning, do you remember in Employment Works, we created alter egos for the Chaos Goblin?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the name of your Chaos Goblin?
No.
Mine was Lola Dazzlebomb. And
She's something.
Lola comes out to play. The alter ego that we're talking about can be the shame goblin. So one of the things we talked about at the beginning was that self-talk. And I love Sydney's routine. If you feel yourself getting off track, you're like, is this moving me towards my goal? Like, yes, you need to have a treat. Yes, you need to go cuddle Oreo. Yes, you need to, Candy Crush or whatever. I don't know that Sydney plays Candy Crush. I have no idea. You play Candy Crush?
I play Township.
She plays Town. Okay. So they play Township. I love that. So the shame goblin was what we originally created these avatars for, so that you could see that voice. Because on the opposite end of what Sydney does is the voice that says, it's all my fault. I'm wrong. You don't see the chaos goblin. You just see yourself not succeeding. So that's where Lola can come in for me. And I'll be like, Lola's having a day. Like, yesterday, Lola was having a day. Or no, it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday.
Yeah, it's like, what day is
What day is that? Thursday today. But Lola was having a day. I couldn't focus. I couldn't get into flow state. I couldn't put paragraphs together. We had a funding application due.
I have a question with that too. It's just like,
tell me more.
Because it's like, sometimes flow state comes naturally and it's supposed to come naturally. But sometimes you just need to get shit done. So how do you get to the flow state? Like, and I think again, I was like, my part of my morning routine and doing like in mocking Oreo, cuddling, or like decision things. It's like, okay, did that. But then sometimes the chaos gremlin's like, I need a reward afterwards as well. Right?
I need a reward after the reward.
I need all like the dopamine again, like, right? And so how do we, when we need to get stuff done, get to that flow state? Or it's like, it's not even, sometimes you're not actively in the flow state, but how do you still get yourself to do what you need to do? Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple of different tools. One, I go outside. That is one of the biggest things around mental health and focus and whatever. I've been a gardener for over 30 years. Since I was very little, I have loved being outside and whatever. And when I get trapped inside for too long, it's two sides. When I have a lot to do, I hate that it's a sunny day because all I want to do is be outside gardening and futzing with my flowers and whatever. And a rainy day.
What do you mean I have to stay inside and work? Boo.
Yes. Yeah, which is why I come out to my gazebo, because at least, so that's one thing, is I go outside 10 minutes. And that can be enough for me that's a treat for me. I have a Chrome extension for those of you on PC potentially using the Googles. I have a Chrome extension and it's set to go off every 30 minutes for me to stand up because one of the,
I got that since seeing you use it.
yeah, and Maddie's got something as well. So if we're on and Maddie's on in about 10 minutes, a little, is it Alexa? I don't know. They have
I think
a,
it's Alexa.
okay, some kind of listening product goes off at 10 o'clock and says, it's 10 a.m. It's time for movement. And then we all like goofy dance or whatever. Yeah. Paul just steadfastly refuses to participate. We need to work on that with Paul.
Paul's
So
just too committed to the bit.
not wrong. So yes. So what it was, getting outside, preferably first thing in the morning. That's how I try and start my day. When the, ADHD Goblin isn't winning, then scheduling movement breaks to remind me to get up because the longer you sit, the less productive you become, believe it or not. I also have focus playlists. So I use Amazon Music just because I pay for it. So I might as well use it. You can use Spotify. You can use your computer, whatever you want to do. For me and the way my brain works, I require music that does not have words. If I'm listening,
Mm-hmm.
I cannot listen to a podcast and focus at the same time. I can't listen to word music and focus at the same time. So I use what I call comforting music, which my go-to one is the Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone instrumental. And at 30 minutes, the Scooby-Doo TV show theme comes on. Then I know,
Mm-hmm. It's been
gone.
30 minutes.
It's been
Then
30 minutes. Then I know I've been productive. I have the data to know that I've sat there for 30 minutes and traditionally done work. I know I have to stand up at that point because the 30 minutes is up. There have been times where I've just restarted the list, but at least I know I've worked for that 30-minute chunk. If I'm in the middle of something and I'm in a good place with it, then I do reset it. But at the hour, I get up. Those are some of the things. There was a program I did a few years ago. It's a self-led program, The Artist's Way. And it talked about just showing up at the page, right? Because Sydney's point, I love that. Another t-shirt, your best looks different every day. I love that. If you're dealing with a chronic health condition, if you're dealing with interrupted sleep, if you're dealing with some chaotic shit going on at home, all of that plays into how you show up the next day. And some days, the best you can do is, especially if you're an entrepreneur, is a solid 2 hours. And then you just got to go and F off and you just do. If you're an employee, that's where it gets a little more challenging because it's not your rules. So what I think becomes more important is what you do when you come home.
Yeah, I was like, I think like again, kind of like I was saying, but the morning routine, your nighttime routine, how are you replenishing your energy, replenishing your spoons? How are you, and even just, I think also doing that self-reflecting piece of how did today go for me, even for like 2 seconds, and like you were saying earlier, like if it's one job, it's two jobs, three jobs. It's like, what's really going on here? And really sitting with yourself, and because it's like you could potentially it could be the job, but it's also like, and I think, but it's also like, okay, what's in within my control, and how I'm showing up, even though and within those parameters of the rules in your organization.
I think it's also being brave because it's a very vulnerable thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've noticed after job 3 that shit keeps going sideways, you need to ask. You need to
Mm-hmm.
start asking folks how they see you showing up because our perception of self can be a bit distorted. And I'm not picking on anybody, but men folk seem to see themselves way better than reality. And women folk tend to be way harder on themselves than reality. And then now, if you add some letters after your name that don't include PhD, and you've grown up where you've either been shamed or just haven't been supported or like whatever that is, because everybody's story with neurodivergence is different, then sometimes if you get too much up in your head, you need an outside perspective, somebody you trust, somebody, if it's a work situation, you're going to need to ask a coworker
Mm-hmm.
or a manager or somebody.
I swear I've asked you before because I think when we first started, employment work, it was like, how do you feel about how I'm showing? Like, I'm pretty sure I asked you because it was a new environment, and
What
Elizabeth
are
was
they?
my boss at the time, right? And so, just like, how do you feel I'm showing up, right? Or is there any way I could show up better? And just having those conversations, and yeah, I think it's important to ask if you are unsure, and I think sometimes I feel like some people might think, in some instances, like perceived perceived weakness if asking for those clarifying
Oh
questions.
God, no. Strongest thing you can
But
do.
it's the strongest thing you could do. But I think there's still a misconception that it's like I'm gonna be seen as, oh, I don't know. They don't think I know what I know. I think I don't know what I'm doing or something, but or how I'm being perceived, right? And I think sometimes that can also, so that's a real possibility. But it's just like by asking that, everyone's wondering that too. Like it's not just you, right? And everyone
Well,
has
you should be.
self
I
doubt.
mean, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not shitting on anybody, but you should be wondering how you're doing on a new job. How you're doing and how you're showing up are two
Showing up, yeah, two different things. Yeah,
two separate animals, right? So how you're doing on the job,
I
somebody
think I
could,
asked both.
I don't know, I don't remember what I answered, but probably you're doing great. We'll
Yeah,
go with that. Um, I was probably more constructive than that, just be real.
yeah,
Um,
but
but you could be doing great on the job, but how you're showing up at the job, if you come in
yeah,
grumpy, if you come in critical, if you come in whatever, it doesn't matter that you're getting your work done. I'm sorry, but it's true. And if nobody has context for why you're showing up that way, you could have resting autism face. And it's a thing. And that is something worth sharing because you put up somebody who is solely autistic against somebody who is solely ADHD, and the facial situation
yeah.
can be very different. I have really I have really bad resting bitch face. So if I'm thinking or whatever, I didn't realize this, but after a number of people told me that I get scary face, I was like, really? You can't see your face.
Yeah, you
You
can't
can't
see
see
your
what your
face,
face is doing, right? So if you have
or
resting,
even like if you like for now we're on camera, we can see ourselves. We still don't know how that's gonna look like someone else, right? It's like, oh, that's just what I do, right? But the other people, it's just like, oh, she's in a mood. You don't know.
yeah, and that's where asking, and I think where people might worry, asking how you're showing up is different than how you're performing. We need to separate those two
Yes.
things. So if you're asking, then it can
I,
come
I
down.
said that point because I feel like a lot of neurodivergents conflate the two.
Yes. So that's why
Yeah, that's why we're
we're
separating
going to
them.
separate that shit out. So when you go and ask, um, and we talked about this, we did a whole section in Employment Works a couple of times on feedback and what that looks like, and then how you ask for it. So just walking in, and body language says a lot as well. So if you walk in and you're looking down at the floor and, arms are crossed and all of that body language is pulling in, then how your request is perceived is very different than walking in, like, we did the Superman pose in class,
Yes.
pardon me. And it was really interesting to watch. Some folks really struggled with it, but then other folks were like immediately in the, like, we need to get you a cake. Not confidence. We're not talking about confidence. We're talking about presentation. Spend some time, whether with a friend, a parent, somebody you trust in some capacity, going over how to ask these questions.
I'm gonna loop it back quickly to the chaos gremlin. I feel like the chaos gremlin is part of that presentation. Like it's like how it's like, oh, this is how you're gonna be perceived. Like, and then sometimes anxiety, but just like it sometimes reinforces the negative, and that's how it can be a chaotic gremlin.
And that's where practice is everything. And one phrase that we use very frequently is, in the absence of data, we tell ourselves stories. And in the absence of asking for feedback at work, you can think you're doing an amazing job, and you can think you're showing up and presenting well, and you might be, which is awesome. But you also might not. We can also make assumptions that by asking for feedback or, checking in on how we're doing, the answers are going to be bad. And that will absolutely influence, the way you ask, the way you present, all of those types of things. You can't help but not, right? If we're not feeling confident, if we haven't practiced, if we're convinced that we're doing a bad job when maybe we're not, that all shows up in how we present. So that practice piece is really important, right? And you can do that if you are someone of the AI persuasion. I did recently discover, FYI, that for those of you that already know this, please don't laugh at me. Gemini is way more sycophantic and sociopathic than Claude. Didn't know that. So if you want to have an honest conversation with an AI tool around this is how I'm feeling and I need to go and talk to my boss, and can you help me get ready for that? I would recommend Claude over Gemini. And I'm testing those theories right now with different conversations, and
It's like, oh,
oh, yep. So AI has its place. Person is always better, though we worry a little more about judgment when we ask somebody else. So I'll do it live. Sydney, how
yes.
often does my chaos goblin cause problems? That's not comfortable at all.
Well, it's just like it does. It does cause problems. I can't pinpoint the frequency, but it does. I know it does cause problems sometimes, and it and 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 then I'm just gonna. I don't know how else to expand on that, but it does cause problems.
You're just a problem. That's okay. It's fine. I can take that.
Not all the time. It's not like all the time. It's not ever present, but it's like it does. Like at least once a month. You know.
Wow.
But the chaos gremlin is a spectrum, right? So sometimes it causes a little disruption, and sometimes it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes. Because part of my chaos gremlin is I can jump into things without communicating as effectively as I could. And I will either over detail or I will under
Or
detail.
yes,
And
I
it's the
agree with that.
under detail that I would say from a
And then I
self-reflecting
feel
perspective.
and sometimes
Tell
sometimes
me.
you under detail, so the next time you over detail, and it's just a vicious cycle sometimes. You need to find the sweet spot, Elizabeth.
You're not wrong.
But it doesn't happen all like it doesn't happen all the time. But it does happen.
And it just happened. Well, I mean, it was sort of, so we just put an application in for funding yesterday for something. And part of it, for the way my brain works, and I was asking the team yesterday.
I think it was just exaggerated because you had an injury.
Yes.
And so
Yes,
that's not chaos, but that is chaotic. But in a different way.
it
Like it's not the
was.
chaos gremlin,
But I
right? It's
honestly,
just like but things in place prior to that was the chaos gremlin. That quit it's like so by having the injury, it just exacerbated things getting
yes.
caused by the chaos gremlin.
So the challenge was I couldn't show up at the page to write the grant. And sometimes with me, if I can't see the outcome, I get stuck. It used to happen when I was decorating cakes. Like I used to decorate pretty fancy cakes and it could be up to the day before. And if I can't see the cake, I can't get started. And that's what was happening with this grant. And what I learned at the end of it was part of the challenge was I didn't want to ask for more of people's time. Even though the grant directly affected the entire team, I was like, we already meet twice a week. I can handle this. It's fine. I don't want to ask for more of their time. And I was saying, well, have a look. I might have done, it was it wasn't great. I've written really good grant applications. We've been successful in getting funding and what have you. And this one was a bit of a bugger. And what's interesting is that we as a team have talked about it before. Like this is the first team where we have felt safe to say, you know what, Chaos Gremlin's winning. Like I need to ask for your time. And I didn't do that. And I don't know why.
I
I
think
had stuff going on, but
it happens, right? And it's like and it's like you said, it's practice, right? And I think I think this experience is now taught you for next time, right? Hopefully, because we'll see. Because the chaos gremlin is the
Chaos
chaos gremlin.
Gremlin for the win.
But I think now we
You
I
guys
think as
know
a
to then
team just
push back a little bit
yeah
on me and go,
yeah exactly. Well
yeah,
I know I learned I can't speak for everyone else, but I know I personally learned it just like wait a minute, Elizabeth, do you need help? What do you need from us, right? And being clear, or I can give you, I can do this time, and really better working together as a team towards these things, and yeah,
and that was, and so this actually harkens back to the beginning, um, around that self reflection piece and around that, um, when the chaos goblin wins, because it does, statistically speaking, if you're ADHD, the chaos gremlin will have you as their bitch at some point. It's just, I'm going to use the B word. I don't like the B word, but I'm going to use the B word because to me, that's gender agnostic. Like, doesn't matter who you are, going to make you their friend. You cannot, and I rarely speak in absolutes when it comes to applying something to a broad population,
mhm.
but you cannot bounce through life letting the chaos goblin win, not making any effort to figure out why the chaos goblin is winning all the time, blame everybody else, and then make no effort on your own. I mean, you can, but then please don't ever show up at my door and complain you don't like your life. I am the least tolerant person as the mother of a neurodivergent kid, as a neurodivergent, well, kids, as the wife of a neurodivergent, as a neurodivergent, as somebody who works with neurodivergent people on a team in projects. Don't ever show up and expect me to be the person. Oh, that's a shame. Well, that's hard. Well, that must be terrible for you. If you show up with the same story time and time again, I will be the first person to put on shiny shoes and give you a dose of reality because it, I'm getting very, what's the word? Excited in a bad way. It really disheartens me when I see folks not taking responsibility for how they show up in the world and the way their life is turning out. Chaos Goblin can be a jerk, not 100% on your side that it can play havoc. If you don't ask for help, if you don't take a moment to figure out if you're the asshole, then let's pause for a second here.
Mhm.
Talking to others can help you find moments of kindness, right? So on top of getting injured last week, it was a growing injury. 2 different friends lost parents within a week of each other, and one of those parents was my second dad for 40 years. And I underestimated the impact of that on the Chaos Goblin, because when you're dealing with,
Yeah.
we've talked about grief and we've talked about life and we've talked about, so yes, in those moments, to be fair, give yourself some grace because your resources are low. You're already spooned out. Totally get that.
Mhm.
But when the guardrails are on and things are running pretty smooth and you're still letting the Chaos Goblin win, that's a different story. I loved what you shared at the beginning, Sydney, when it comes down to sleep and it comes down to your routine in the morning. I love that you do all of
Yeah.
that because I've seen what happens when Sydney's not able to do that.
Mhm.
And I've seen the impact. And the same with Maddie. When Maddie's sleep is all over the place and their health is playing havoc and whatever, that Chaos Goblin wins huge. That's not a criticism. That's
Yeah. It's just,
recognition.
yeah.
Life adds layers. And Paul will say the same thing when his mental health, which he's been open about, is dipping because stuff's going on at home or whatever. His ability to stay organized and whatever has a challenging day. In those moments, find grace and say, okay, like what would you consider? We're going to wrap up shortly, but Sydney, what would you consider an achievement on a day where life has just gotten goofy? Chaos Goblin is winning. We need to find a win so that we wake up the next day and try again. So what would you look for as a win for you on those days?
I think even just taking one thing off my to-do list. And that sounds small. Um, but I think it's just like, again, looking at my to-do list, what is that one thing that can move me towards my bigger goals that day? And I think by doing that, that really helps.
And so we have to go back and find your avatar's name, but when the Chaos Goblin is playing havoc and sometimes showing up in a mean way, because the Chaos Goblin
Yes.
also has that little effer voice that be like,
Oh, it
you
does.
don't, oh, will you just punch it in the face?
Pardon?
Good Goblin.
Yes.
So when the Chaos Goblin's voice is winning, what do you do then?
I I like to write, so I write whatever comes to my mind and just let it out on the paper.
I journal too. It's intriguing to go back and read them sometimes.
Sometimes I go, whoa.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't say that out loud and I wouldn't say that to another person. Deepers, Lola. You need to calm your shit there, honey. Um,
Oh my god, she's crazy. She's
I
lost the plot.
well, t-shirt. I've lost the plot. I love that. And anybody who gets that, you know they are your people. Um, I have so for those of you that, have listened to all of this and you also struggle with the chaos goblin, one thing I recommend to the majority of to all of my coaching clients is to designate a spot on a wall where you look each morning or whatever it is, and you create what I call a win wall. So it can be big. You got a contract, you got a new job, whatever it is. It can be small. You got a compliment from somebody, whether it's at work or volunteering or just in a group you go out to. You won. If you happen to be of the video game persuasion, I know less than nothing about video games, so please don't ask me. And if you win it, I know Pac-Man. I know Galaga.
Good for you, Elizabeth. Good job.
Tetris.
I love Tetris. Tetris, if I had a really long day, I have it's called a DS, which is like an old game console from when I was younger. Like it came in when I was in middle school, like 2010 ish.
When I
And
was 40. Anyway, sorry.
when I was
Yeah, it's okay. Keep going.
we know that we know the age difference.
It's a me thing, not a you thing.
Anyway, so then my partner got me, it's like has different games on it, and Tetris is one of them. And if I had a long
I love
day and I
Tetris.
just need to like do mindless and just I do Tetris. It calms my brain.
Yes. Sorry, I'm having a moment because I'm not a huge fan of extensive video game play, but I do recognize that it has a place as a relaxation tool as long as it's controlled and it's not 12 hours of your day. If you're sitting in a pile of
I literally
filth
give
and you have
myself 15
showered,
minutes.
yes,
Like my
timers.
partner even says to me, like I play games on their other's console, and they're like, I'm like, okay. They're like, you only played for like 20 minutes. I'm like, that's all I need. It's like, I don't know how you do.
But you feel good about yourself because you set that limit. You set that limit and you met it.
Mm-hmm.
That can
Speaking of my
become a win.
partner,
Yeah.
just texted me good morning.
Um, that's a win. If you cut your game playing back by an hour that day, way to go. If you set up modes and routines on your phone to help tame the game, that was the last tool we'll talk about quickly. Sorry, we should have gotten into tools. Um, Phones are the devil's work, man. Like I don't go to church, but they can be
It's always
just,
that damn phone.
sorry, I try not to do the F word, but, um, especially if you are struggling with dopamine and whatever, it's very easy to doom scroll. It's very easy to play games. It's very easy to get lost in YouTube shorts, all those kinds of things. And one of the first things I do with coaching clients is look at their phone and what's set up. And I'll be like, what do you mean? Nobody ever explores the guardrails that you can put on your phone within the phone. There
I've
are
I I've done that. I did that. I think shortly after I launched my business, I was like, okay, I'm spending too much time on this phone, and so I was like, I put timers on my phone, like all the different apps.
100%. I do the same thing. I have a Samsung S26 just for context. So it's an Android based phone. I had it on the Google Pixel phone as well. There's modes and routines that you can set up. My phone automatically blocks certain social media sites after 7:30 in the morning until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Can't access them on my phone unless I turn the mode off, and then that's not a win. And I have a bedtime one that at 10 o'clock, my phone grays out. It goes on do not disturb. So nobody except my immediate family can message me. I don't get any notifications, nothing. Um, Part of the attraction of doom scrolling at night is the colors, but that blue light and those colors actually trick your brain into staying more awake. So by having it gray out, there's multiple things with that. It um, blocks the blue light, but it's also a signal to you that it's time to go to bed. One of the other things I use to keep me on routine at home is Genie light timers. And so certain lights in my home come on at certain times. But more importantly, I lose track at night of when I should go to bed. Um, and so one set of lights upstairs goes off at 10:10, and the main light in my family room where the TV is goes off at 10:30. And so if I've forgotten to check my Fitbit or my thing or the clock or whatever, as soon as that light goes off, I know it's time, it's 10:30, and I need to get my pushy to bed. I should move it back to 10 o'clock, which I will do. Those are some of the things, because if we rely on the ADHD brain to create habits around managing the chaos goblin, that can be tricky. So automating some of those things allows us to free up that executive function capacity around managing time and managing whatever, and we can apply it to other things. So those are some of the things. Modes and routines on the phone, please take a look. They're there. I know.
Those changed my life.
Me too.
Shortly.
Me too. Because I could sit in my chair first thing in the morning, folks. By the way, not productive for your brain, does not set you up for success. And like, look at Instagram and then look at YouTube shorts and like, oh, this is nice. And then it's like 8:15.
You're like,
Oops. I should probably go get dressed to do a podcast at 9 o'clock.
I have to go walk Oreo and work out and do my yoga and then get on the podcast.
Yep.
Like
So
this morning, woke up at 5:45, did my stretches,
I'm so
then
impressed with
did my journaling, and then fed Oreo, took her for a walk, came back, did my, and I alternate between workout and yoga every day. So today was a yoga day, so I did my yoga, make breakfast, yeah, and then get ready for the podcast.
I feel like such a slacker right now. Ow. I'm really impressed. Do you find that sets you up for the day?
Yes.
And so even on the days if the Chaos Goblin wins after that, you know you've accomplished quite a bit before you even began.
Yes.
That's super cool. So maybe that's one of the other recommendations. If you can get one productive thing, one of the major things is make your bed. Make your damn bed.
I feel like I sometimes I really struggle with making my, like I can do everything else but make my bed.
It's okay, but if you're getting other shit done, that's fine.
But I'm just like, it's now part of the whole kit and caboodle.
I love that. I'm not that disciplined in the morning because I have to be disciplined for the rest of the day. So I feel like I might use it up. I do tend to clean my house for 20 minutes every morning. My garden and water I did that this morning.
I
Cleaned
think
up the house.
that's still that's the autism brain. That's like, must do.
I wish I had more of that some days. I do. That's a whole nother conversation. Okay. So I think we've covered a lot. This was yay, because it was last minute that we knew it was going to be just us, just the superstars. So if the Chaos Goblin wins, regardless of what letters come after your name, just know that it's going to happen. It's okay. If it's a pattern and it's getting in the way of success, whether at home or school or work, just to be really clear, it's not everybody else. It's you. And we need to do some reflecting and we need to ask for help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Asking for help is a strength. You don't want to be sitting where you are right now if you're not happy in 10 years. The conversation I have with my kids. Do you want to be having this conversation with me in a year?
Mm-hmm. And what's one thing you can do today to move
One
forward?
thing.
Just one thing. It doesn't have to, like, mine was my quite extreme morning routine, but just what's one thing you can do today? And some days I just do one of those things because some days and so sometimes it's just like, oh, like my yoga or my workout. Sometimes like I slept in a little bit. Sometimes it's like I'm extra tired, so then it's like I move it to before lunch to have that room to play with it a little bit.
I think it's just getting those creates a winning motivation. We're not talking like football touchdown wins or whatever.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be big to be meaningful. Um, it just helps. Our whole goal of sharing all of this, I was thinking about that the other day, um, is to see other folks who might be struggling with the same kinds of things that you are, acknowledging that it can be hard. All of these tools that we're suggesting, we have used all of them. All of us on the podcast team run businesses, have families, have obligations, do extra things in the community, all of those types of things. And we've learned to do that by doing the hard work of figuring out how to, you know, shut the chaos goblin down. But on the days where it might win, and I keep saying that because I don't want to trigger anybody from a mental health perspective, and I don't want to be unrealistic. It's okay if it wins sometimes. It just can't win all the time. And it shouldn't, right? You have shit to do. You have shit to do. All right. Are we good? Did we cover everything? We didn't have a list, but seems like it was extensive.
I think we killed it. Go team.
And I didn't mention boobs once.
That's a Paul exclusive.
Always. Just for you, Paul. Just for you. So thank you, folks. We will be future episodes. One is Grief 3.0. That one seems to be getting a life of its own.
I mean, it's a big thing.
It is a big thing. It's not something that's commonly talked about. So we've just decided that the learning that's coming out of that is quite positive. If there's a topic or something you'd like us to chat about, depending on where you're listening or engaging, like, please let us know. And then we've got a whole list of stuff that we try and be reactive and proactive to certain things. August, see if my mouse is working since all my technology tried to kill me today. August 31st, we have our Nimble ND Connect coming up. If you don't know about Nimble ND Connect, check out nimblend.ca and you can learn all about that organization and what we do, what we offer, hopefully expanding that in the next few months. Nimble ND Connect is an online platform that we host each month that deals with neurodivergent specific issues. And then we break out into rooms where folks can, sometimes we stay in the whole room. Depends on the size of the group.
It depends how many people show up.
Yep. But other times we break into smaller groups and it's a whole way of safely getting to know other people, learning about interests, sharing ideas, and finding folks who, might be dealing with their own chaos goblins. Any last wise words, Sydney?
I think just, again, pick one thing a day. If it's really winning, pick one thing a day that can move you forward towards your goals and the life you want to live.
Write it down somewhere so that on the days where it's a bit rough, you can see what you've accomplished. That's the benefit of journaling and tracking and data. It's all about the data, people. All about the data. All right. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you joining us, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, this is Elizabeth Blue from Spiro, Canada, one of your pirates on the Riff Raff podcast team. My fellow pirates include Maddie Dever from Autistic Bridge, Sydney Elaine Butler from Accessible Creates, and Paul Coleman from Creation Designs, who is our very own Arctic LARPing Santa. Thank you for joining us on the Neurospicy Seas, and we wish fair winds to you all.